I'm here for my pre-calc tutor.
You do on your last test? So the first thing we're going to learn is frequency. Frequency is the number of complete cycles from 0 to 2 pi. Period is the length of one complete cycle along the horizontal axis. All right, so the equations for this is y equals a sine bx and y equals a cos bx. You can write these in parentheses. And basically, the a equals amplitude, b equals frequency, and then the equation for period is 2 pi over b. So b is the frequency, so you would just plug in your answer for frequency for b. So let's try an example. Example 1 is y equals negative 2 cos 2x. So for this, you want to remember to find the amp, the frequency, and the period. The amplitude is always an absolute number, so make sure to put that number in the absolute boxes. So the negative 2 actually turns into a positive 2. The frequency is also 2, and for period, you want 2 pi over b, which if you plug that in, 2 pi over 2, they cross out, your answer is pi. Next thing is we're going to go over vertical shift and horizontal shift. So vertical shift is the displacement, and the formula for that would be y equals sine x plus d. The vertical shift itself is lowercase d, and it's outside the parentheses. That's very important. The next thing would be horizontal shift. Another name for this would be the phase shift. The equation for this one is almost the same, but a little bit different. Y equals sine x minus c, but the minus c is inside the parentheses. And another little trick for the horizontal shift is that even though it says x minus c, the minus doesn't mean that it's left. It's actually the opposite. Minus means it's on the right. So if it's x minus c, then that is equal to right c. Obviously, c being the number that it represents in the equation. So if it's x plus c, what is that? That means that it's left c. Okay, so for this one, as you can see, there's a 2 in front of the x, which means that you're going to have to factor it out. So let's draw a line over here. And if we have y cos 2x minus pi, the way you factor this out would be y equals cos, do a little bracket, 2, parentheses, x minus pi over 2. And that is how you get that. So now you know that this is going to be your phase shift, and now your frequency is also 1. Okay, so your amplitude is 1, and as we said already, your frequency, also 1. Your period is going to be 2 pi. Your displacement is going to be 0, which means that it's at the midline, which means that it's just going to be on this normal line right here, no challenges. The minimum, once you add the shift and the period, will give you 1 and negative 1, pretty easy. Let's draw a rough draft. It should look something like this, because this is what a cosine looks like, and these will be our 5 points. All right, so for the period, the first one, we have pi over 2. And then for the second one, we could do pi over 2 plus pi, and then you have to do over 1 times the 2 times the 2. You bring this down, it gives you pi over 2 plus 2 pi over 2, and that's equal to 3 pi over 2, which will be your 5th point. So these are your 2 points. So it's going to be this one and this one. All right, so let's start graphing it. So you're going to make your midline and your axis at 0 because that's what it originally says. It wants you to go right pi over 2. So we're going to draw the line right here. And we're going to do our first point. Well, first we're going to do 0. And we're going to do 1 and -1 right there. And then we know our first point has to be right to pi over 2. So we're going to make this one pi over 2. We're going to make this one 2 pi over 2. And our final spot right here is going to be 3 pi over 2. So we know this one starts here. And it starts at the maximum. So the maximum we know is 1. So we're going to put these 2 here. We know that these 2 points are also going to be on the midline as it shows in the rough draft. So if you find the middle lines, you're going to plot these 2 right in the center. And then we have our final dot, which is going to be on -1, and it's going to be on our minimum, which is also 1. So if we go down, it should be right here. Let's connect them all. And there you go. That's your cosine draft.
Oh my god, guess what I got?
What?
I got 100.
Wow.